Inventory management. Inventory is a stock of materials used to satisfy customer demand or support the production of goods or services. By convention, inventory generally refers to items that contributes to or becomes part of an enterprise output. Inventory management is an important part of a business because inventories are usually the largest expense incurred from business operations. Most companies will use an inventory management system that will track and maintain the inventory required to meet customer demand. Most systems used by companies are linked to the management or accounting information system, increasing the effectiveness of their operations. In this lesson, we will discuss the concept of inventory to understand its functionality, the identification, classification, and some of the simple models for arriving at basic inventory decision rules, and finally we will discuss inventory control. It follows from the previous slide that after studying this lesson, you should be able to know what is inventory, know the different functions of inventory, know about how to prepare bills of materials, learn about the identification of inventory items, know how to keep inventory records, learn about dependency relationships, interpret the concept of inventory costs. The main functions of inventory are to protect against unpredictable variations or fluctuations in demand and supply, to take the advantage of price discounts by bulk purchases, to take the advantage of batches and longer production run, to provide flexibility to allow changes in production plans in view of changes in demands, to facilitate intermittent production. Different types of inventories have different risks depending upon the firm's position in the distribution channel. Manufacturing inventory is typically classified into raw materials, finished products, component parts, supplies, and work in process. Independence of workstations is desirable in intermittent processes and on assembly lines as well, as the time that it takes to do identical operations varies from one unit to the next. Inventory allows management to reduce the number of setups. This results in better performance. The wholesaler purchases large quantities from manufacturers and sells small quantities to retailers. He provides the capability to provide retail customers with assorted merchandise from different manufacturers in smaller quantities. Expansion of product lines has increased the width and inventory risk. Where products are seasonal, the wholesaler has to take an inventory position far in advance of selling. The bill of material structure is the arrangement of inventory item data within the bill of materials file. Each inventory item must be uniquely identified. The identifying number must define the contents of the item unambiguously. The bill of material should reflect, through its level structure, the way material flows in and out of stock. Thus, it is expected to specify not only the composition of a product, but also the process stages in the product's manufacture. A manufacturing inventory is defined as consisting of raw materials in stock, semi-finished component parts in stock, finished component parts in stock, sub-assemblies in stock, component parts in process, sub-assemblies in process. Data integrity is an important prerequisite for the inventory system. This is especially true when using a MRP system. Using this method, a physical count of each part is made at least once during its replenishment cycle, which is the period between orders to replenish inventory. Product structures determine the dependency relationships between end products and inventory items. As inventory is a necessary but idle resource, inventory costs in manufacturing need to be minimized. The heart of inventory decisions lies in the identification of inventory costs and optimizing the costs relative to the operations of the organization. Therefore, an analysis of inventory is useful for determining the level of stocks. Holding costs or carrying costs include the costs for storage facilities, handling, insurance, pilferage, breakage, obsolescence, depreciation, taxes, and the opportunity cost of capital. Although it costs money to hold inventory, but also unfortunately to replenish it, these costs are called inventory ordering costs. In the case of sub-assemblies or finished products that may be produced in-house, ordering cost is actually represented by the costs associated with changing over equipment from producing one item to producing another. This is usually referred to as setup costs. When the stock of an item is depleted, an order for that item must either wait until the stock is replenished or be cancelled. There is a trade-off between carrying stock to satisfy demand and the costs resulting from stock out. The costs that are incurred as a result of running out of stock are known as stock out or shortage costs. Inventory models seek to optimize the costs associated with investing in an idle resource. There are single period and multiple period inventory models. Single period inventory model is related to the fact that we have a product that has a high degree of perishability or obsolescence. At the end of the period, the product has either sold out or there is a surplus of unsold items which will be sold for a salvage value. Multi-period inventory systems are designed to ensure that an item will be available on an ongoing basis throughout the year. There are two general types of systems, and these inventory systems can be distinguished on the basis of their ordering criteria. The models of these two systems are A. Fixed order quantity models, also called the economic order quantity models. B. Fixed time period models, also referred to as the periodic system or P models. The basic difference between the two systems is that the fixed order quantity models are event triggered and fixed time period models are time triggered. In other words, at an identified level of the stock, the fixed order quantity model initiates an order. This event may take place at any time depending on the demand for the items considered. In contrast, the fixed time period models review the stocks at time intervals that are fixed and orders are placed at the end of the predetermined time periods. In these models, only the passage of time triggers action. Economic order quantity is the level of inventory that minimizes the total inventory holding costs and ordering costs. The economic batch quantity model or production lot size model is similar to the EOQ model in that we are attempting to calculate an optimum for the batch quantity we have to produce. Now let us check if we have understood the various concepts discussed in this lesson clearly. Inventory holding costs are involved in replenishing inventory. Right or wrong? Wrong. Stockout costs are the costs that are incurred as the result of running out of stock. Right or wrong? Right. Inventory input ratio is a measure of the ratio of company's sales to its average inventory investment. Right or wrong? Wrong. It's the job of inspection department. Before we end, let us briefly revise what we have studied till so far. Inventory systems are predicated on whether demand is derived from an end item or is related to the item itself. Because independent demand is uncertain, extra inventory needs to be carried to reduce the risk of stocking out. To determine the quantities of independent item that must be produced, firms usually use a variety of techniques including customer surveys and forecasting. These were discussed in the chapter on forecasting. However, a balance is sometimes difficult to obtain because it may not be possible to estimate lost profits, the effects of lost customers, or lateness penalties. If the unfulfilled demand for items can be satisfied at a later date, in this case, cost of back orders are assumed to vary directly with the shortage quantity and the cost involved in the additional time required to fulfill the back order. However, if the unfulfilled demand is lost, the cost of shortages is assumed to vary directly with the shortage quantity. Frequently, the assumed shortage cost is little more than a guess, although it is usually possible to specify a range of such costs.